called achievement gap?
Because we have to be careful about impressions that are made by the use of certain language. So when you acknowledge that there is an achievement gap, then in effect you're acknowledging what the achievement gap supposedly connotates or denotes. The achievement gap supposedly says that black children are incapable of achieving on a level comparable to that of white children, Hispanic children, and perhaps Asian children. So when we say the so-called, we're saying that that is a statement that is made that does not take into account what are the factors that might explain any truth there might be to that rumor.
Do you believe if these kids are in a school that has African cultural background, et cetera, that it will help them and enhance their ability to achieve them?
It has that potential. In fact, it has the greatest potential to do that of any other possible approaches that might be used to do it. We're not saying that it guarantees any kind of automatic or miraculous change, but it certainly makes sense insofar as we can see the extent to which that sort of immersion of formal education into cultural context, as is the case, for example, with the Jewish people and the Catholics, does work. What has happened, of course, is that has not been utilized to any great extent, or certainly not to enough of an extent, with children of African descent.
I'm sorry, back to the achievement gap. Are you
Sure.
refuting the data that shows that African American children are not graduating at the same rate as white children and that their test scores are lower than white children on average?
We have no need to refute anything. Just as I said at the outset of this press conference, that we're not here to protest anything. We're here to advocate for something that we believe in. By the same token, I'm not here to refute anything that other people choose to say or to defend us against anything that people may allege against us. What we're here to do is to advocate for something and to put forth our own contentions about what is needed for our children. In other words, we're being proactive, not reactionary to something that someone else says.
Okay, but assuming that you believe that the data is true, looking at graduation rate, for example, are there things that you think are unique about teaching from the African cultural perspective that can boost graduation rates, for example, for African American children, which tend to be considerably lower than those for white children?
I thank you for that question because it gives me an opportunity to explain something that has not been asked, and that is, what essentially do we see as being the fundamental difference between a Eurocentric education approach to education and an Afrocentric or an African-centered approach? The Eurocentric approach to education, which in fact is the standard approach to education used in the Western world, is one that presumes that the individual has to be emptied of whatever is in that individual, and then you fill that individual with data, facts, figures, et cetera, and then subsequently you test the individual to ascertain the extent to which he or she has internalized those facts and data that you filled them up with. The African-centered approach to education, on the other hand, is one that says that the human being comes into the world already fully equipped with whatever that individual needs to grow into a whole, fully functional human being, and the job of education and development is to, in fact, help that child to have what's in him blossom and bloom, just as what happens when you plant a seed in fertile soil. We don't put anything into the seed. The seed itself contains the genus of what it is to become once it reaches full fruition and maturity. So the answer to your question then is, what we say is that what has been missing is that you have attempted to, or the system attempts to educate black children in a way which is not the way that black children learn, to develop black children in a way that is not the way that black children develop. And what we're saying is that an African-centered context to education allows for the natural unfoldment and development and evolution, in fact, of black children, because it puts them at the center of their universe rather than beneath it where they are in the traditional system of education.
What have you been doing to prepare for the walk? I mean, physically.
Well, I've been walking for a long time, so walking comes easy to me, and I have no fear whatsoever about The
I've been
distance.
walking for a long time too, but I'd be scared to walk 1,000 miles.
Well, come on and join me. I'm calling out all the cowards.
Dr. Scholl.
You mentioned Dr. Scholes. We're seeking sponsors who want to, for example, get some branding as a part of this this walkathon. We think this has the potential to capture the nation's attention.